Botswana, Africa, one of the most inhospitable places on earth. To be a pilot here, where runways are dirt strips,
It's just getting worse and worse.
where dangerous animals lurk,
Definitely not going to see this back in Reading.
where storms rage, demands the bravest and the best.
We have ostriches on the runway. Oh, it's giraffe. Awesome, awesome.
It's a prestigious job.
Being a bush pilot is awesome. It's wicked. Of course, there's risk involved, but it's epic.
Newly qualified rookies flock here from all over the world in the desperate hope of becoming a bush pilot.
I guess I just wanted to do something a little bit different.
So far, the competition has been tough, and not everyone has made the grade.
To become a bush pilot in Maun, you've got to stick it out.
Rookie Ben gave up and went home after just 3 weeks,
It's just a heat. It really is just a heat.
while medic-turned-pilot Tom was the first to land one of the coveted jobs.
It's been a very long 3 months of waiting and worrying. I'm so excited.
Two rookies, Christy and Malcolm, were the next to be called up for trials.
All of us know here that it's a complete competition, so from day one we've known that we're up against each other.
But the most experienced pilot of them all, Aaron, is still playing a waiting game.
I wonder why I haven't got chosen based on my CV.
Coming up, alternator failure threatens a medical evacuation.
This is the last thing we want right now.
The rookie pilots sweat on their exams.
It actually makes me feel sick sometimes when I'm waiting.
And Canadian pilot Paul must decide whether to fly on or turn back.
I don't like this one bit.
Daybreak in Maun, Botswana. One of the airlines, Moremi Air, is sending a pilot out to answer a medical emergency deep in the bush.
One of our managers, Charles, he's quite sick at the moment. No idea what the problem is with him really, so out to Labala very early morning to get him back and hopefully into hospital as soon as possible.
The manager of a luxury safari camp has a high fever, and it could be the first signs of malaria, so it's essential Alex gets him to treatment as soon as possible. The camp at Labala is 120 miles north into the Okavango Delta and is only accessible by plane.
Mount approach, g'day Alpha 2, Alpha D X-ray.
Morning, bud.
Request taxi as per flight plan to Labala. 2 crews, 0 passengers, 3 hours 20 on the fuel.
22-year-old New Zealander Alex has been with the airline a year and is still a junior with just 800 hours to his name.
Clear for takeoff 08, thank you, Alpha D X-ray.
Alex moves onto the runway
Yeah, go ahead, man.
and is clear for takeoff, but something's worrying him.
Alternator.
The alternator is responsible for keeping the plane's battery and electrical system fully charged. It's not working. Without it, the plane's electronics will simply die.
Clear for takeoff 08, thank you, Alpha D X-ray.
But it's essential he continues the medical evacuation. He takes a calculated risk that the alternator will kickstart once in the air and the engine's at full speed. These are the kind of snap decisions a bush pilot has to make, as the more senior pilots know only too well.
The pressure on the pilots is immense, you know. In flight, I think that's the only time they really get to have a drink, and that drink's normally the sweat beating off their forehead. But short final takeoff landings in the bush, it's all split-second decisions.
Less than a minute into the air, and at 500 feet, the situation becomes serious.
Are you alright? Nope.
The plane's electrical gauge in the centre of the cockpit is showing no charge. The plane is quickly burning through its reserves of power.
Alternator won't come online properly. This is the last thing we want right now. but you can see it's not charging, so click it on. It's still discharging from the battery, which means that we will eventually run out of electrical power. Really, we cannot safely fly with the aircraft like this.
The loss of electrical power will mean the failure of communication on all instruments.
Non-approach Alpha 2, Alpha the X-ray.
What?
Just request to come back and land. My alternator isn't working properly. Clear to return to the airfield for landing 081013. I can't safely continue the flight. I'm on a wide left downwind for 08 now. I'll call you again final. It's a real disappointing thing knowing that someone's sick out in the bush, but it's just not safe to continue on. So you have to make the safety call for the aircraft and the occupants of it. Alpha the X-ray is final approach 08.
Alex has just enough battery charge to get him down. Now he's out of danger. The priority is to find another plane quickly and rescue the sick safari camp manager.
Perfect. What a morning.
Alex taxis the faulty plane to engineering, parks up and gets straight on the phone to Chief Pilot Dale to see if there's another plane on standby. But in Maun, even a simple phone call isn't straightforward.
We're just trying to work out which aircraft we can use, but now the phone network's gone down, which is great.
At last, he gets through.
I got about 3 miles out and it's just showing full discharge. I tried recycling it about 400 times, but no luck.
The good news is there is another plane.
So we're just going to go over to 210, see if it's been signed out by maintenance. Potentially we can use that to get in.
But there's a catch.
Unfortunately, I'm not rated on the aircraft myself, but someone else will have to come in who can actually fly it legally.
The evacuation is on hold again. Unless a pilot has been trained to fly a specific plane, it is illegal for him to get behind the controls.
All isn't lost. We can get in someone who's rated on this aircraft and get them to come in and do the emergency flight for us.
Within the hour, Maremi's backup pilot Ricardo arrives and the rescue mission is back on. At 27 and with nearly 2,000 flying hours, Ricardo is an old hand. Minutes after Alex first took off, Ricardo begins the 120-mile journey all over again. He's in a faster, lighter plane, which will cut the journey time by 15 minutes.
For Charles, don't want to keep him in the bush longer than he has to, so we want to try and get him back as soon as possible. So far,
the next obstacle is landing. There's been heavy rain and the runway at Labala is a mud bath.
Over there. Overhead Labala, and we'll be joining on a left downwind for runway 32.
Ricardo now needs to land his Cessna 210, weighing over a ton, on soft ground.
November finals runway 32 Labala. Okay. And this is what you want to try and stay out of. Hey, hey, hey. Just slip, no brakes.
He's down, but it was far from plain sailing. Sick manager Charles has been driven by his colleagues from the camp out to the runway, exposing him to the full force of the harsh African sunshine.
I'll hold this for you. Charles, can you put 1 foot over there for me?
Shielding his head from the sunlight, he finally gets a ride out. It's crucial Ricardo gets him back to civilization as soon as possible. He now needs to get the plane up to speed for takeoff on the wet runway.
Okay, as you can see, the parking area is very slippery. As you can see, the caution that you have to exercise when entering the especially Labala. I told you with the 210 that just slides and digs into the runway surface.
The 210 needs to get up to 80 miles an hour to get off the ground. But the wet mud is causing the wheels to skid.
You can see we're skating on ice here.
Ricardo pushes the plane harder, but he's running out of space. 400 meters. 300 meters. 200 meters.
There we go.
He's made it. 2 pilots, 2 planes, and 4 hours later, Charles is finally on his way for emergency treatment. The bush pilot's swift intervention means he'll make a full recovery. Coming up, rookie pilot Malcolm faces his first exam.
There was a lot of questions I struggled with.
And British pilot Graham races against the clock.
Is every day this busy? In a word, yes.
Maun is the home airport and epicenter for all the bush pilots in Botswana. Wannabes from all over the world come here with a dream of flying in Africa. Before they get their shot at the big time, they need to be chosen by one of the 9 airlines. Wilderness Air is one of the most rigorous tests in Botswana, and they've called 6 of the rookies in for a technical exam. First to get the call was 21-year-old Christy from Australia. She's realistic about her chances of getting a job.
Based on the hiring that they've already done, there'll be maximum 2 expats that they'll be taking this season. So there's no way that we'll all get a job, but we'll all be doing the testing, so then they'll shortlist again from that.
Also lucky, 26-year-old Malcolm from Scotland.
Well, it's been over 2 years since I last, so since I did my commercial exams, so it's been a long time since I've done some of this sort of stuff, so it's quite nerve-wracking.
Okay guys, like I've said to all of you, there's nothing to be nervous about. We're all in your situation at some stage. It helps me a lot when we come to the flight assessment part to gauge also, are you a practical person, are you a theoretical person, that kind of thing.
Veteran bush pilot Graham knows exactly what they're in for. He's been there before.
So the current process to get into wilderness is it's quite long. I think the first thing the guys come in, they get to know the people, they go through interviews, and then onto the psychometric testing, where they ask you lots of questions to try and find out if you're crazy or not.
They've got 3 hours to complete 7 sections on commercial pilot theory. For these rookies, this is make or break for their dream job in Africa.
Okay, cool. Last couple of checks and then we'll be on our way.
Graham passed his exams just 2 years ago. Since then, he's racked up an impressive 1,500 hours flying time, and today he's going to add a lot more.
First thing today, we're taking some freight up to Chobe. You've got 3 camps up at Chobe, Savili Bush Camp, Dumatau and Kingspool. So we're taking a ton of freight up to there, dropping it off, and then we'll be on our way back down here to Maun, fuel up, get some more freight and some guests on our way around the Delta, ending up in Kasane.
In fact, today will be one of the busiest of Graham's career. He's been scheduled to fly 8 legs around the Delta in just 10 hours, and his company expects him to stay on schedule. First off, he must load up with food for the camps.
All the bulk stuff, tin food, generally goes in by truck. It takes about 3 days to get there from Maun here. Whereas all the fresh stuff, meat, eggs, poultry, all that kind of stuff, we can't spend in 3 days in this kind of heat, so we've got to fly that in.
He's flying the Cessna Caravan, the biggest plane on the company's books.
The Caravans allow us to take just over a ton of stuff in each time compared to the 206s, which can only maybe take 400, 450 kilos or so.
Alpha Kilo Kilo 1085 is on boundary.
His first stop, Chobe, is 110 miles northeast of Maun, and he needs to be there in 40 minutes.
But
we're literally going to be skimming the cloud tops in 7.5.
Picking up 4 of his guests in Chobe, and you're getting rid of the staff members.
Okay, so confirm I'm now leaving the staff members, picking up 4 guests, and then flying them back to Mount. So we just had some changes to our schedule. One of our 206s won't start at Mount. Now, instead of bringing a bunch of staff members back to Mount, we're going to unload all the freight, put some extra seats in, and then we'll be flying the guests ourselves back to Mount.
This change of plan could mess up Graham's carefully timed schedule.
The windsock is completely dead, so we can land either way. So with the winds like this, we land towards the parking just so we don't have to backtrack the runway. Save time, saves money, saves fuel. Everyone's a winner.
Graham's enthusiasm for all things technical has earned him the nickname Widget amongst the other bush pilots.
Widget is an interesting character. He's definitely a strong personality. He's kind of like an albino nerd robot, if I could sort of summarize it in any way. But he's definitely a good friend, and he's a good guy to have around.
As soon as he's on the ground, Graham's thoughts turn straight back to the schedule.
We're parking up, shutting down, unloading the freight, getting the passengers on, and then back to Mount.
There's a quick turnaround. Once dinner is delivered, it's a straight swap for human cargo.
So this is one of the great things about the caravan. We came in with a bunch of freight with all the cargo nets. Take these off the ground, pick up all the mats, put the seats in, and then we start taking passengers. If you thought being a pilot wasn't hard work, think again.
Now Graham must also be the perfect host.
Hello folks, how's it going? My name's Graham, I'll be flying you back to Mount today. Pleasure to meet you.
These guys are amazing. They're usually awesome pilots. I think it's a training ground for a lot of these guys, and a good place for them to get experience.
Okay, please jump aboard, sir. Let's come around this side here.
Within 15 minutes, he's turned it around, just 5 minutes behind schedule.
Now we're good to go. Right, the hard bit is over again. The easy bit's once you're in the air.
In 2 years, he's become the consummate bush pilot professional. But that's not enough for Graham. He has plans to move his career on, and he's applied for a job with Qatar Airlines.
So I'm really excited to go do something new, to open a new chapter in my life. The flying is completely different, the lifestyle is completely different. I'm living in the city, I'm living in the Middle East. Definitely something I won't be turning down. So I'll probably be getting about 10 times as much living over there, plus they throw in a car and a house for free. So all in all, it's a pretty sweet package they give the guys there.
But for now, it's a pipe dream. He's heading straight back to Maun, ready for the third leg.
Let's go see how they've done.
In the Wilderness office, time's up for the rookies.
Okay, all done. I hope so.
First to finish, 26-year-old Scott Malcolm.
I'll mark the exam, and then I'll give you a shout. Yeah, cool. Thanks for taking the time.
Bye-bye. It was quite difficult. I wouldn't like to say I was feeling confident. I did the best that I can do, and that's all that I can ask of myself. So I'll just need to wait and see. There was a lot of questions I struggled with.
Second up is Australian hopeful Christy.
There's so many questions, obviously, you knew a certain amount of them, which is good.
It probably went slightly better than I thought it might. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's right.
They'll have the results within days.
Hold on, no, I'm going to eat a bit of chicken.
Graham's flying back to base and he's on time. People off, and more seats, more fuel and more cargo on.
Yeah, pop it, it's all for Shatabi, isn't it? Need to be airborne as soon as we can, so we've got to get the seats in, get the fuel in, load on up and go.
Over the next 4 hours, Graham flies to Shatabi and Kijra, only dropping 10 minutes along the way.
There's no point hanging around, so we make things as quick as we can.
5 p.m. and just 1 hour before sunset, Graham is on his 6th leg from Kijra to Jao, and he's already covered hundreds of miles today.
Is every day this busy? In a word, yes. Yes, it is. They get their money's worth out of us, let's put it that way. So it'll just be a few minutes on the ground, and then we'll be on our way again.
His hard work hasn't gone unnoticed.
They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. I mean, you see the stuff they land on. Some of it is, I can't even imagine driving a car on it.
Chobe, the 7th and penultimate leg, and Graham drops off the last of his passengers.
Well done. My pleasure, my pleasure. Enjoy your stay.
Thank you very much.
Let me just get your...
on Monday again.
you never know, you never know. Let me get your bags.
Yes.
You see, the pilots here are real pilots.
It has been a busy day today. So, just got a last leg now up to Kasane, park up the plane, jump into the 206 for a ride back to Maun.
All that's left to do is return the empty plane to Kasane. He's happy, his passengers are happy, and until he gets that call from Qatar, he'll be doing many more days like this. Coming up, the rookies escape into the wild.
I thought that he was going to charge us then, actually.
And the worst storm in years hits Maun.
Terrible, man. Absolutely no good.
Botswana and the borders of Maun. A group of rookie bush pilots are taking a break from job hunting to go on safari in Moremi National Park.
Right guys, start packing the stuff in and I'll supervise.
Yeah.
Today we're driving up to Kwai, which is just in between the Moremi Game Reserve and Chobe National Park, which is pretty exciting. After weeks of living in Maun, it's nice to get out.
Out of the 8 going, only 28-year-old Dorset lad Tom has landed a job so far.
Clear prop!
She'll be coming round the mountain, she'll be coming round the mountain, she'll be coming round the mountain when she comes.
Christian.
Brits. Weird people. Weird creatures.
Tell me if you want me to stop.
Okay, stop. No.
On the borders of the park, they're confronted by a huge bull elephant.
That could have been an interesting collision.
Yeah. I think Tom, stop. And advise it to go fast and then fall.
South African rookie Christian is well versed in local customs.
Usually when it just warned you to go away.
Weighing over 4 tons and standing 12 feet tall, an African bull elephant could crush a Land Rover in seconds.
I thought that he was going to charge us then, actually.
Yeah.
As they approach the camp, they're reminded what makes Botswana so special.
Most people say Botswana's got some of the best game viewing in the world. Yeah, he agrees. Everyone I've spoken to has said you have to get out of Maun while you can, because once you start working, it's very difficult to do this, especially with only one day off.
The wildlife may be spectacular, but for Malcolm and Christy, thoughts about work are never far from their minds.
If I was to get an interview with Wilderness, then this trip is definitely something that I'd be speaking about. Because if we get a job, we're going to be out on our own, flying airplanes in this environment.
At the moment, I'm definitely got a positive outlook, but I have been through days where I wasn't too sure if I'd made the right decision coming, but at this stage I'm definitely happy that I'm here and hopefully it will keep progressing. If I had gone home, I would have maybe missed an opportunity with work here, so I'm definitely glad that I've stayed put and I will be staying around for a while, hopefully.
Shall we get a little production line going on here?
Yeah.
For potato wrapping.
These young ambitious pilots have left their friends and families behind to pursue their careers. They know that they'll be getting their test results when they return to Maun tomorrow. It's 6:30 a.m. in Maun. A tropical storm has blown in from the east and is threatening to close the airport. Canadian Paul has been with Moremi less than a year, and with 700 hours to his name is still a junior.
Well, don't think we're going to fly in this, but let's go check it out, see what's happening.
Mauen Airport is home to 9 airlines and more than 60 planes, but Paul's not sure whether any of them will get off the ground today.
Worst I've ever seen it, so I'm sure nothing's happening, definitely.
He checks with the airport management. All flights are still on.
Okay, so no NOTAM closing the airport or the runway, so we're good to go. Free flight in the rain. Awesome.
Paul's scheduled to pick up 2 passengers from Nai Pan, 100 miles to the east.
It looks I can't believe it's still open. The fact that we're the only ones here is a bit odd, number one. Number two is this base is low. So if we're taking off 08, we're coming right in through this. I'm very surprised it's open, but also I'm not surprised. It's Mauen. This is the problem here, because we're going to take off this way, but then we have to land straight into this. So 45 minutes into Nai Pan. So hopefully by the time we roll out there, pick those people up, come back, it's moved. But it just doesn't look like it's moving. It's iffy. If it was the real world, they wouldn't let you back in. But it doesn't look good to me, man. Not at all.
Look at the pretty new lights. Never had these before.
Small planes, unlike major airlines, have no radar. They rely on the pilot being able to see. The golden rule for any small plane in Botswana is to follow VFR, Visual Flight Rules. You can only fly by what you see, so keeping sight of the ground and avoiding clouds is essential.
Alpha 2, Alpha India X-ray requesting to remain at 3,800.
I think some pilots find it quite exhilarating to have storms around them, and some find it quite terrifying. And all in all, storm clouds are something that you try and avoid at all costs.
Nevertheless, there are 2 stranded passengers who urgently need to make a connecting flight to Johannesburg.
Yeah, just based on what's in front of me here, I've got the cloud base sitting at around, I'd say, 4,000, maybe 4,500. I just want to stay under it. And also keep a nice visual reference to our ground here.
But the cloud is closing in.
Yeah, no, I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. There's no, by any means, there's no horizon whatsoever here.
If Paul loses sight of the horizon, he'll have no point of reference whatsoever and no idea of what's ahead.
Definitely not nice. So, personally, I just won't fly when I get uncomfortable. So, especially in these aircraft, they're not rated by any means to fly in weather conditions like this. And it's not getting any better. I'll make a decision to take this back.
Paul is now flying blind. If he continues, he'll put himself in danger. He must make a decision.
We are 4,000 foot. Yeah, not too happy. I think I'm going to do a little bit of a turn out of here. We're losing side of ground here, and I'm not happy about that. So I'm going to take us back to Mauen, my friend.
If the storm prevents Paul from flying, the tourists on safari will miss their Air Botswana connection. But it's just not worth the risk.
People who have saved their whole life for this luxury holiday, they really don't want to be let down, because it does taint their perception of their whole holiday, and it taints their perception of the company, and also it flies or feeds back to the agents who actually booked them the trip, who might not want to use us again.
We were popping out of, we went straight into cloud, which is not cool at all. And that cloud is going to stretch all the way to our destination, so it's just not worth
it. He makes the only decision he can.
Tower Alpha 2, Alpha India X-ray, we're aborting flight and returning back to the airfield.
Alpha 2, Alpha India X-ray, jet inbound 3,800 feet runway.
Aborting the flight is one thing. Getting back is another. The cloud cover is so thick, Paul could potentially fly into another plane.
Oh yeah, this is terrible, man. Absolutely no good. Yeah, basically instrument flying right now, you know, which is completely against the rules. But I've got no choice, really. Actually, when we came out, it's actually a lot worse now that we're coming back in.
For Paul to land, it's essential he can clearly see the Maun runway.
Holy that was not cool. We're joining on a right downwind for 08.
At last, a break in the cloud, and the runway comes into view.
Oh. Glad we can see the ground. You know, you can fly in instruments, but when you're this low to the ground, it's just not a nice feeling. Home sweet home. Where's the bloody runway? There it is. I just need to weave around this patch here. I'll cut right through this one. Oh, I'm very happy. We are back here. Back on the ground. Happily. That was not cool. No, I'm not putting myself in that danger. Absolutely not.
Paul must now check with his chief pilot and air traffic control to see what to do next. Deep in Maremi Game Reserve, the weather is certainly better. But the 8 rookies seem to be right in the middle of someone else's territory.
5:30, and everyone's just got up because there's 2 lines, 50 metres over there. It's a male and a female. It's pretty amazing.
The young male is threatened by their presence and marks his territory by scratching the ground with his back feet and spraying his scent. Tom decides to do the same.
I just looked up and it just looked like Malcolm was standing there naked. Too early for this.
That's it. Awesome. Awesome is not a word I like to use very often, but awesome describes this place pretty well.
Not everyone is so savvy in the bush. Thomas has other things on his mind.
Thomas has just creeped off into the bushes over there. He's taken a spade and he also asked me for the toilet roll. He's picked an interesting time to do it when we know there's lions in the area hunting.
It's time to leave the residents in peace.
It's 10 after 8, and there's no way I'm taking off.
In Maun, air traffic control is severely restricting all flights, and they've implemented special flying rules.
Tara said, okay, on pilot's discretion. I wasn't happy at all. Didn't feel safe whatsoever. I made the right decision to come back in, and that's all that matters.
Only a handful of flights are leaving the ground. As the cafe fills up with other frustrated pilots, everyone's on standby.
It will be water puddles on the top if it is like that.
The knock-on effect of big storms on flights into the Delta is massive.
Plus, it's rain.
Over at the Wilderness Air Control Room, it's chaos.
The cloud hasn't really moved that much. The less time we spend in the air, the better for everybody.
If tourists can't be brought out of the camps, they'll miss their scheduled flights on the major airlines.
Job is fun, job is fun. We are prioritizing the guys that need to go out for their connection flights to Johannesburg.
Wilderness Air have 15 planes serving 40 camps. They're all down.
Coming in. Everything else, 206 is all grounded. Yeah, all 206 all grounded. Yeah, that's it.
They have grounded all of their 206s, their smallest planes. Paul is heading in the opposite direction, and his company, Maremi, have given their pilots discretion on whether to fly.
Cloud base doesn't look a whole lot better, but it looks smoother. The rain has stopped, which is happy for us. So we'll give it a go. Wheels up 11:30.
Paul decides to go for it. He still has 2 passengers to collect for a connecting Air Botswana flight. He's 2 hours late, but back in the air.
Yeah, we're up. We're at 7,500 foot off the ground, and so far so good. 32 minutes. Hopefully these 4 people can get out.
In Moremi Game Reserve, the rookies leave for home and thoughts are turning to the test results.
I think all of us are very nervous about this week. We're not sure what exactly to expect. We're supposed to hear back from Rob on Monday to see whether we've, how we went on the technical exam and to see if we get an interview with him. So we're all, I guess, just nervous about that, and just the waiting game is always hard as well.
I hate waiting, particularly for exam results. Like, anytime I think about it, it actually makes me feel sick sometimes when I'm waiting.
It's the week we've all been hoping for and waiting for, so hopefully if it all turns out well, then we've got the interview and then see where it goes from there. But definitely the biggest and most exciting week in Maun since I've been here.
Whoa. And if it doesn't go well, then it's back to normality in Maun. So hopefully we'll find out tomorrow what's happening.
Coming up, Paul battles through the storm.
It's a nightmare day, man. I've just never seen anything like this.
Graham contemplates his future in Africa.
I do leave. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to miss.
And the rookies get their results. 500 feet above the ground, Canadian Paul is one of the few pilots to be braving Maun's worst storm this season.
I think the scariest thing for a pilot, hands down, is weather. That's it. It's not the flying, it's the weather you're flying into. The only thing that's making me happy is you can see our horizon. As long as I've got my eye on that horizon, we are cool as cucumbers here.
The last storm pocket is right next to Nai Pan.
We're at 7.5. 7.5 will take us basically right to the edge of it. If it comes our way, we're sitting in Nai Pan.
Paul needs to get down and back up within minutes, or he'll find himself stranded in the bush with his passengers.
Oh no, here it is right here. I'll be able to just get us over the strip quickly and then put us down. And if we can just pack those people up and take them out of here quick, I can take off again 06 and just beat it. He's right in front of the wall.
The Nai Pan runway is nothing more than compressed mud. Paul must keep the plane in a perfect straight line or risk sliding out of control. The landing is perfect.
Watch your head on this wing as you hop in here. Maun bound. No problem. We tried and tried and tried.
Thanks for making it.
My whole time in this area, I've never seen it this bad. Ever. Ever.
We've been back and forth here so many times.
About 3 times.
2 relieved passengers on board, and there's still time to make that connecting flight.
X-rays airborne 06 Nai Pan, left out 38 Maun. These people should be back in Joburg by tomorrow. All safe and sound. It's a nightmare day, man. I've just never seen anything like this. Oh, never a dull day in the Delta, that's for sure. Never a dull day. See those Boeing 747 captains, they got nothing on this.
160 miles north, the 5-star luxury camp King's Pool, deep in the Okavango Delta. And bush pilot Graham has earned a bit of fishing time with some friends. Despite the beautiful surroundings, he's still set on leaving Botswana for a career with the major airlines.
Ever since I first flew when I was younger on a family holiday, I knew I wanted to become a pilot, and the airlines was kind of something that was always there, something I knew I'd love to do at some point. It's completely different to the bush flying. You're flying much bigger machines, you're flying in and out of big airports, you're travelling much further distances to many different countries. Hello. I've always been quite ambitious in things that I do, so this opportunity with Qatar Airways quite in the near future is just exciting. Yes! My first fish I ever caught!
He is yet to be offered the job with Qatar, but if he does leave, it won't be without regret.
If I do leave, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to miss. The flying, do stuff like this, going out to the bush, staying in these great places. I am going to miss parts of it. But been here a couple of years now, so it's almost time to move on. I got one. Ah, he got away.
In Maun, the test results are in. 6 candidates sat the test in the hope of becoming one of Botswana's bush pilots.
From what I gauged sitting and chatting to them and seeing how they went through the exam, it gives you a good indication from what I thought, personality-wise, and the little bit that I know them, what type of people they are. And so far, no red flags yet. So which is a fantastically good thing.
Only 4 of the 6 tested can go through to the next stage. Malcolm and Christy are waiting to find out if they have made it. Everyone's anxious.
Hi Christy, it's Rob from Wilderness Air. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic, thanks. How was your camping trip?
Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun, thank you.
Good. Christy, I've gone through the exams and everything.
Okay.
And well done, you've come second in the test. You've scored just over 80%.
Oh, great.
And we're happy to invite you for an interview on the 27th at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so then just before 9 o'clock at the office.
Is it what sort of interview? Is it a technical or is it just a behavioural interview or a?
No, it'll just be a panel of us from management.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah, definitely starting to feel a bit of pressure. We now know that Christy...
Hey Malcolm, it's Rob, how's it going?
I'm very well, how are you?
Fantastic, thanks. Still surviving Africa?
Yeah, I'm actually really starting to enjoy it, a lot more than I was when I first got here.
Oh, you think you'll settle in perfectly, yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Malcolm, I've gone through everything and we're happy to invite you for an interview if you are still interested.
I'm definitely very interested.
All right, 100%. That's good to hear.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yes! Take a guess.
It does add a bit of extra pressure though, just because now, you know, it definitely is progressing and you've got to, you know, you don't want to go into the interview underprepared. We're just hoping to do the best that we can for the next couple of stages and see where it goes from there.
It's very good news. We're all one step closer at least, but we're not there yet.
Someone whose phone still hasn't rung is the most experienced aviator of them all, ex-Ryanair pilot Aaron.
His name's Aaron. Yeah, I've had a few words with.
But unbeknown to him, he's on Maremi's radar.
Wow, 3,000 hours.
Next time on Bush Pilots, Aaron finally gets a chance to show off his flying skills.
You just have to try and push through and you want to do the best you can.
Christy and Malcolm get grilled in their interviews.
I would love to progress to the next stage, but I'm not going to know until they get the call.
And Graham hears about his big break with Qatar Airlines.
There's no need to stick around Maun any longer. It is a lot of fun, but it's your career's got to take precedence.
Brand new Bush Pilots continues Monday night at 8. And for a guide to Botswana, the planes and the pilots, you can head to joindave.co.uk. Next though, have I got a bit more news for you?
Africa, one of the most inhospitable places on Earth. To be a pilot here, where runways are dirt strips,
just getting worse and worse.
Where wild animals lurk.
Definitely not going to see this back in Reading.
And where storms rage. Demands the bravest and the best.
We have ostriches on the runway. Oh, it's giraffe. Awesome, awesome.
Being a bush pilot, of course there's risk involved, but it's epic.
Every year, the tiny airport town of Maun plays host to job seekers from all over the world. They camp out for months in the hope of getting a job as a bush pilot.
Morning.
Aaron and Tom were the first of the rookies to land a job. But they can't fly until they get work permits.
There's still a lot more to do. You've got the permits, the flight tests, etc. So it's still quite a long way off.
For all the other rookies, time and money are running out.
I've ended up spending slightly more than I planned to per month.
Thomas has revamped his CV in the desperate hope of getting noticed, but the lack of interest is starting to get to him.
When you're left to your own devices, you always think the worst.
Christy and Malcolm have completed the flight test for one of the largest charter companies in Maun.
They give it to me?
And despite a few mistakes, they are through to the final stage.
It's probably the most thorough selection process I've ever gone through for any job I've ever done.
Coming up, as he tries to make an early exit from Maun,
Let's just get out of here quickly.
veteran bush pilot Paul hits a wall of storm cells.
Yeah, so this weather is getting real nasty real quick.
And some last-minute surprise candidates could scupper the rookies' chances as they go into their final selection process for Wilderness Air.
We want to stress them out as much as possible, then see at what point they snap.
Maun, Botswana, in the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, over 5,000 miles from the UK. This is the home of bush flying, and it's where the wannabe bush pilots come to try and land a job. After months of camping out in Maun, D-Day has finally arrived for the job-seeking rookies.
Dear Kirsty, we are happy to inform you that you've been selected for the psychometric testing phase of the Wilderness Air line pilot interview process. Good luck. Kind regards, Rob.
I do feel, unfortunately, that some of the candidates who we have interviewed thus far might not actually make it. This is probably the end of the line for a third of them.
The rookies have been invited to Wilderness headquarters to sit 2 final tests designed to cull the group.
I think the testing is important because the pilots they hire here aren't just pilots. Anyone can fly. We've all got the piece of paper that says we can fly. So you have to be able to deal with stress. You have to be able to be personable with clients. Some of them could be billionaires.
Wilderness have flown in a professor from neighbouring country Namibia to scrutinise every aspect of the rookies' personalities.
In the mindset, in the mindset.
But what the rookies didn't know is that the company have accepted last-minute applications from other job seekers.
We now know there's at least 11 candidates. Yeah, so there's 6 expats and 7
expats and 4 locals.
If you'd like to come through and just take a seat.
The competition has suddenly got tougher. With extra candidates, our rookies have got to work that much harder to impress the Wilderness bigwigs.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready, you can start.
After weeks of waiting, the end is in sight. Just 2 more days of testing, and they will finally have their answer. Most of the rookies are in their early 20s and at the start of their careers, but Canadian pilot Paul broke the mould when he arrived in Maun, aged 35.
Paul's kind of like the stereotypical West Coast Canadian sort of border dude. I think with a little bit of age comes a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of confidence.
He'd lived life to the full back home, running a string of businesses, but they ultimately left him unfulfilled.
I just wasn't happy there. I wasn't happy with the weather. I wasn't happy running the businesses anymore. The phrase do or die is exactly what would have happened to me if I didn't do what I'm doing now. I would have died a miserable, boring, painful mental death back in Canada.
For 6 months of the year, the skies are blue and the sun beats down on Botswana. But during the rainy season, clouds gather and the flying conditions become dangerously unpredictable.
Got Insui to Kasane at 14:50, but we're going to take off as soon as we're done here, probably 15-20 minutes early because of this thing. It's coming from northeast, working its way southwest, and you can see it's moving quick this way. And the blacker it is, I get unhappy, so we should get going.
If Paul wants to leave early, he needs to get clearance from Aremi Air's chief pilot, Dale.
Base, Alpha India X-ray.
India X-ray.
Is Dale in the office?
Yes, stand by for him.
Hello. Hey, mate. If I take off now, I can beat this storm and sit it in sweep.
All right, mate. Yeah, you can go ahead. We'll let guns know.
Cheers, man. I'll see you now.
The edge of the storm is approaching, and the wind is beginning to swirl and rapidly change direction. This could be trouble for Paul.
Well, I really hope we can get off the ground before the storm sits on our heads. It's gusting 1.9er, which is a serious tailwind, so let's just get out of here quickly.
Aircraft always take off into the wind. For Paul's plane to get off the ground, the air must pass over the wings at 80 miles an hour. If the wind is blowing 20 miles an hour from behind him, he'll have to hit 100 miles an hour to get airborne.
Oh, nice. Serious tailwind here.
Once he's in the air, Paul realizes the storm is much bigger than he first thought.
Okay, we've got more here. Okay. So what I thought was just a storm on our edge here. Now we've got two more ahead of this one.
He's battling with a wall of storm cells blowing in from the northeast.
Then we got another one straight ahead. Awesome. Right in our track. Even more awesome.
The biggest issue with a storm is there's really powerful up and down drafts, which is why you never fly in it. And then around the thunderstorm, you get a gust front, so very strong winds. So you can have wind shear, you can have a lot of turbulence, and obviously if you're going too fast, that could be dangerous to the aircraft.
I've got a track to follow. Because this thing's in my way, I'm just going to go around it. Disregard my track for now until we pass it, and then I'll cut back into the right and get to Insui. Whoa, massive lightning.
Paul's trying his best to keep clear of the ever-growing storm clouds, but he's getting violently thrown around. The winds are getting stronger. He needs to think of an emergency backup plan fast.
Alpha 2, Alpha X-ray, is your zone out?
I'm too far faster.
Hi there. I might have to just sit down in Delta Strip and let a storm pass, but just stand by with me and I'll let you know as I get closer to the airfield. I've got 10 miles to run. But I might not, the storm is moving very fast directly overhead, so I might just land in Delta, but I'll be with you in 5 minutes and let you know.
If the conditions become too dangerous to fly, Paul's plan is to land at the nearest airstrip. But he's losing the battle, and the storm is now overhead. Paul's in the worst place to be. He's flying under the clouds at a low altitude of 500 feet so he can see the horizon and keep his wings as level with it as possible. But in turbulence this strong, it's a real challenge.
Yeah, so this weather is getting real nasty, real quick.
He's pushing on, but at this height, if a downdraft hits him, it could force him to the ground within seconds. He spots a chance to beat the storm.
But we got lucky here. There's just a nice little open patch right above the airfield. Perfect.
Insui, Paul's original destination, is in sight, so he decides to attempt a landing.
Space, Alvac India, just overhead Insui now, we're going to put the plane down.
Landing and takeoff are the most dangerous times in bad weather. The closer he is to the ground, the less time Paul has to react to downdrafts that could smash the plane to pieces.
Oh yeah, you can feel the storm all over us here. It's unreal. Definitely the blood flowing.
Finally, Paul is safely on the ground. Back in Maun, the rookie pilots have finished stage 1 of the final tests, all except rookie Christian. The personality analysis has no right or wrong answers, but the 26-year-old South African is still desperate not to make any mistakes.
Has this paper be done in pen?
No, it just doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just take a mess.
I found it okay. It was a bit sort of messing with your mind a bit at times, but it was generally okay. It was kind of what I expected.
The young pilots are halfway to touchdown, but until tomorrow, there's little to do but mull over the day's events.
The whole point is to push you beyond your limit. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
I think they want us to do average, at least average. But as Malcolm said, they're testing us to our limits.
They've come this far, but no one knows how many jobs are available, and rumours about the new competition are rife.
Now, does anyone know who the other guys or girls are? I take it it's local.
Oh! Shikawi?
Shikawi?
No, I saw a thingy there, mine.
Unbeknown to the group, Christian has hit the nail on the head. A pilot with 1,000 more flying hours than anyone at the table is about to join the fight for the wilderness jobs. Coming up, a real-life Crocodile Dundee takes to the skies with Air Shikawi's owner, George.
See, there's a female there on the edge of the river. Oh, yeah. That'll be a nest. Goodness, okay.
I feel adrenaline in my fingers. They just want to push all the buttons all at once.
And in the job hunt, veteran bush pilot Aman goes head-to-head with the rookies.
If there is the opportunity to move up in your career, you might as well bloody take it, because aviation is hard enough as it is.
In the north of Botswana, less than 10 miles from the Namibian border, Air Shikawi's owner George is getting ready for his next flight. He's worked hard for the price of his passengers' tickets, safely delivering an elderly man back home. And he can now turn his attention to croc researcher Vince.
Chicago, it will be a right 10 up, climbing initially 3,800 feet for warmed up.
Vince has hitched a ride from Maun to do some work on George's return leg. The researcher wants to identify crocodile nests from the air.
So George, basically what I'm trying to do is, as we're going over the area and I'm spotting females or potential nesting sites, I'm just punching them into the GPS. Okay. I'll come back by boat later on and just get into that area again. I know the areas quite well, but I just need to know that I've identified something from the air and I'll come back by boat to check it out. Sweet, okay.
Their route will take them along the Okavango Delta's panhandle, a fault line along which the Okavango River flows before fanning out to create the swamps of the delta. With around 2,600 crocs in a 100-mile stretch, the panhandle is home to the most concentrated population of crocodiles in the country, but large reptiles and people aren't a happy combination.
See, they're collecting grass down here. Yeah. That's why there's so much conflict. People are collecting grass, they're burning, the cattle are closer to the river because the water's lower, and the crocs are nesting. So it's all happening at the same time. Yes, of course.
The crocodiles are often chased away by frightened villagers, leaving their nests abandoned.
Are we going down this little channel?
Okay, so we can stay It's actually, you follow the main channel still. It's still fine, just keep straight here, it's fine. It's a little bit further down, you'll see the branch off.
Okay.
But look over there on the left, you see that open patch there?
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that is good.
Okay.
As long as there's water a bit closer, they'll nest there. The lucky thing about trying to find nests is they need sunlight to incubate.
Yeah.
So there will always be openings from the top. That's why flying is so good. You can always see from the top.
But George is still doubtful that they will be able to see anything from the air. Then Vince spots something.
See, there's a female there on the edge of the river.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be a nest.
Goodness, okay.
And once George knows what he's looking for, there's no holding him back.
Here's one. There we go. There she is, on the sandbank. Good one. There's one on the nest. Right on the nest. You see her?
Goodness, okay.
She's sitting on it.
Sweet sakes, I can't believe it.
She's sitting on a nest.
Each of these nests will have between 40 and 80 eggs, closely guarded by their mother. In 4 years of flying over the Delta, George has never seen a crocodile nursery from 500 feet.
It always looked like they're just sitting there on the sandbanks. I never knew those were actual nests.
Yeah. Sometimes, if it's not during this time of the year, obviously they do bask on sandbanks.
Yeah.
But this time of the year, if they're on sandbank, there's a good chance it's a female on the nest.
It's been quite an education for George.
That was beautiful. I can't believe it. I've never seen that in my life.
Quite strange if you don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah, no. To me, it just looked like the crocs were lying there
waiting on the edge. Yeah.
No, that was stunning. Honestly, that was really amazing.
Well, yeah. Thank you. I mean, that was awesome. Yeah. So thanks very much for that, man. That was great.
Now that I know what to look for, I definitely learned a lot.
To keep passengers flowing in and out of the safari camps dotted around the Delta, the 60 bush pilots based at Mound's tiny airport face a grueling schedule. An average week consists of 6 full flying days with up to 10 legs between sunrise and sunset, and even on their downtime, there's more work to do.
Very well. Day off.
Canadian Paul is preparing for a test in a bigger and heavier plane in the Maremi Air Fleet.
Tomorrow's my mock CFT to get onto the Gippsland GA8 Airvan. Big step for me, big step for the company. 2 new aircraft are showing up within the next couple of months. It's kind of imperative that I get onto this aircraft as quick as possible, not only for the good of the company, but for me, big step as well. Being a pilot, you never stop studying. There's always a new manual, there's always a new airplanes, there's always a new system coming out.
Mound's bush pilots are a close-knit community. This test will be overseen by Paul's best friend, housemate and chief pilot, Dale.
You know, the guys who I fly with and the guys who test me are all my good mates, so you know, you tend to go into it with a bit of a lackadaisical attitude, but as soon as you get in the plane, it all changes. There's our chief pilot doing it, so I'm sure he's going to hammer me, so I best be ready.
Northwest of Mound, Dale's on his way to Pom Pom with a plane full of safari camp staff.
And approach Zulu Sierra Alpha India Lima is with you on the climb through 4,200 for 4,500 Pom Pom.
He's in the PAC 750 bush plane, and he is the only pilot in the company who's qualified to fly it.
Being chief pilot, I don't fly too much. I'm mainly based in the office doing pack work, involved in a lot of the training and testing of the guides as well. But being the only pilot rated on the PAC 750, at the moment I am doing quite a bit of flying.
Dale's the youngest ever chief pilot at Maremi Air. At 24, he is 11 years younger than his soon-to-be pupil, Canadian Paul. But in the aviation world, respect comes with flying experience, not age.
I'm one of the youngest in the company, and therefore managing the people that I am managing are generally all older than me. I think through personal relationship with the guys, explaining to them what their role is, what my role is, what they do for us and what we do for them, and you know, keeping it on a personal level. there's that level of understanding and respect that does come with it. I guess with age does come maturity as well. So generally dealing with people older than me, they have that level of understanding and level of maturity. But yeah, the guys know that we're all friends outside of work, but inside of work is work, and yeah, I am their boss, and thankfully I've got a good team, and they all understand it and all respect it. So yeah, it's a good team that we have at the moment.
Mounds bush pilots don't often socialise with the rookies looking for work. They haven't been here long, maybe gone tomorrow, and don't know what it takes to do the job. But today, Iman and Christy have decided to go for a trip down the river in Mounds' answer to public transport.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of little baby fishies, which if you put your hand in, they'll like eat all your dead skin off. Which
I did that in Bali,
weird.
actually.
You know what, this is the easy part, because when we come back, we're going upriver.
As 2 of the 7 girl pilots in Mound, they're outnumbered nearly 10 to 1. So above Mound, Paul's been put through his paces by Chief Pilot Dale in the heavier and slower air van.
Let's go, 500 foot a minute.
Dale's not happy with Paul's lack of control during his steep turns, so he's making him do the procedure again.
You got a tendency to lose altitude. Clearly you need to add more back pressure. Yeah. Off to the right, off to the left.
Paul needs to be more assertive with the plane to keep his altitude during a turn this steep. He needs to be braver with the stick and pull back hard.
Not applying it already.
Maintaining flight level. -5, 2 crew, 2 passengers on.
A bit more. More.
It's a fine balance and takes lots of practice to get the technique working.
Alright. You just got to be big on the rudders in this plane. Yeah. Alright, so flying along, and all of a sudden, bang, 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 and you have an engine failure.
Dale's cut the power. Paul needs to find somewhere to land as soon as he can. If the engine fails in an air van, it will drop out of the sky at 1,000 feet per minute. Paul's 3,000 feet above the ground, so he has 3 minutes to get the plane down safely.
Alright, show me where you're going.
Going straight at that dirt patch. Just at the end of the road here.
Some S-turns, you know, you're not gonna make it before that curve. Right, and go around.
With 100 feet to go on the final approach, Dale calls the procedure off, but he's not done with him yet.
200 foot.
Bang your engine, guys.
Okay, no, straight down. I'm gonna pick that road right here. And full flap.
Quick thinking.
Paul has only just recovered from the last engine failure, and he's only 400 feet off the ground. This time he's got less than 20 seconds.
Where are you going?
Going straight to the north bend in the road.
Turn on, turn. And go around.
Paul's done well, but the test still isn't finished.
So I want to be confident that you know how this aircraft glides and where to position it when you need to position it. Alright, so I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to sit here. I'm not going to say a thing. I'm not going to guide you in any way. It's all up to you. You have to make the field. Where I want you to put the aircraft down is anywhere from the numbers to the first intersection on the runway.
Okay, Charlie. Right. Charlie.
That's where you need to touch down in between those 2 points.
Okay.
Alright, so what I will say to you is that constantly ask yourself, am I high, am I low?
As before, Dale cuts his engine to force Paul to make an emergency landing. But this time, he has to complete final approach and actually land the plane.
My speed, 75, 80, and I'm choosing a field. Choose to land at Mound Airport.
Paul has to get the glide path right with no engine. If he's too low, he won't be able to recover and he'll hit the ground before the runway.
Dropping down 4,500
If he's
feet.
too high, he'll have to make a rapid dive which could destroy the landing gear.
I'm definitely high at the moment.
What are you?
Adjusting.
What are you?
I'm high right now. Adjusting.
To reduce altitude quickly within a short distance, he zigzags toward the runway. It's called side-slipping and means the plane will drop without gaining speed.
Looking good. Up the needed height.
With no power, Paul is gliding this 1.5-ton plane down to try and execute a fully controlled pinpoint landing.
Drop the flap. Drop the flap. Drop the flap. Stop fighting the plan.
Okay.
Just squeezed it.
Just squeezed it.
Leave your flaps at 0.
He's got the plane down with just a few feet to spare.
I think I over-concentrated on getting my stalls right this time, and guess what? I got them perfect, but I then laxed on my steep turns and didn't get those perfect. I always enjoy those thoroughly, man. It's the only time I get to fly like that, and you can really push the aircraft around a bit.
The flying side of everything today was fine. Everything was within limits. Bit of pressure there today for him, and always comes as a bit of a shocker because, like I said earlier, we are friends, but in the aircraft it's a different story.
A few hundred metres away from the apron in the Wilderness Air headquarters, it's judgment day for the rookie pilots. They're gathered in reception, awaiting news of their fate. For some, this is the end of a very long line.
Okay, so we've received the reports back from a psychologist's perspective.
My feeling is that we just go through some of the findings on here with each candidate. I don't mind doing it because I'm happy to tell people good and bad news.
Okay.
So not everybody has made it through, unfortunately. So some people are going to get very good news and some people not so good news.
We've all been here for around 2 months, so Wilderness is our last, I would say Wilderness is our last shot at getting a job here in Mound.
The next few minutes could spell either the start or the end of their careers, not only as bush pilots, but as any kind of commercial pilot.
I think for these guys, most of them, it's their first flying job, and it will be very important to them that they get a foot in the door of aviation, because a lot of people who get pilot's licenses don't get employed and eventually end up doing something completely different because they can't get jobs.
Time to find out whether the company has gone for experience or enthusiasm.
Okay, mate.
All right.
Okay.
It's time.
First up for their appraisal, veteran pilot Iman.
So we've got Dr. Hoffman's report, and you are quite independent and self-reliant, and so your strengths are you like to work well alone, you're discreet and keep things to yourself, and you concentrate on your tasks. Whereas possible weaknesses are you don't consider other people's emotions and pressures, you don't communicate your views and feelings, and you forget to consult people about decisions.
The aim of the personality analysis was to get beneath the candidate's skin, but it's gone much deeper.
Definitely above average in intellectual capacity, but I won't give people a chance to say what they think. You're somewhat self-centered. Leadership, you need to project a more forceful image, take greater control of situations and events, and deal with difficult issues openly.
And the blows keep on coming.
With your social skills, you are more reserved than most. Your anxiety profile is pretty high, and you do get upset when criticized. You're quite highly strung. You might be difficult to get along with, and you get into arguments and can be disruptive.
Finally, it's decision time.
He recommended that you actually would be quite a good candidate. Although he did say that you might be difficult to get along with.
Yeah, I know. I think my boss, he's really right.
And he said that you like to do your work thoroughly, left by yourself. Obviously a perfect pilot candidate.
So Iman,
yeah.
we'd like to ask you is whether you would like to join the Wilderness Air team.
That would be pretty awesome.
Oh, fantastic. Well, welcome aboard.
It's a changing day in my life.
There you go.
And it could change the outcome for the others.
Yes!
That's one less job at Wilderness Air.
Good luck, guys. I have to get back to work. I'll catch you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Next time on Bush Pilots. From the original lineup of rookies, ex-Ryanair pilot Aaron is the first to fly over the Delta as a fully fledged bush pilot.
This is what I had in mind when I left the UK all those months ago.
And Christy, Malcolm and Christiane finally find out if they have made the grade.
Like I said, thanks for taking the time to come in today.
And not everyone's going to be drinking champagne.
We have decided that we're not going to take you on this session.
I can't be felt crying about a job.
They could be good friends in the future, but right now, Iman is competing with Christy in the race for the wilderness jobs. Iman has far more experience than Christy, but until now, neither have spoken about it.
I can imagine what it's like for you guys, like finding out there's, you know, people that have already been flying in the Delta applying for jobs. Like, really, guys, come and rain on our parade.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and I just feel horrible. I really do. I just, you know, because it's taking away something that someone else really, really, really wants. You know.
A few of the boys did. They expected it, but they didn't know, you know, when they found out. It was like, oh, okay, you know.
Do they hate me now? I badged in on their parade.
No, no hating. They just, I guess, all just think it's, oh, it's more competition and, you know, you've got the experience, so why wouldn't they take you, obviously, over us?
When do we find out? Do you know?
Well, Rob rang us yesterday and said to come in Thursday.
Oh, no, the results.
Well, if we don't get the job, then we didn't get results. I was like, oh, that's not fair.
Oh, no. I've done all that hard work for you. You don't even tell me how mental I am.
Exactly. But yeah, apparently Thursday is the day.
Okay.
The girls may be forging a friendship, but only the best women will win in the wilderness job hunt.
Yeah? Yeah. I did feel bad for the rookies that had gone through that entire process. You do have that sentimental feeling, but you can't say, like, I'm just going to sit out. Like, it's my career I'm talking about here. And a lot of people are a lot more cutthroat than I am.
At Maun Airport, visibility is good and there's almost no wind. Near perfect conditions for Canadian Paul's test in the bigger, heavier air van.
Good morning to fly. Should be nice and smooth out there, but you know, he's going to be working hard. I do live with Paul. He is my housemate and also one of my friends, but you know, when it comes to the flying side of stuff, he knows what he has to do, and it's not going to be easy.
But today he's chief pilot, and he will hammer me, especially the fact that we are mates, just to get the point across that it's not fun and games. So yeah, he will hammer me today for sure.
Okay, everything's set. Runway heading complete. All power and brakes. Nice and empty. Okay, G's and B's are in the green. Airspeed is coming live. I'm looking for 70. Nice and smooth.
Should make your steep turns easy, yeah?
Should do. Yeah, we're ready. Cruising at 6,000.
Alright, at 15 miles, heading 150, you can do a 360 turn to the left, a steep turn.
Bring it in.
0345 miles.
Dale wants Paul to do a steep 360 turn without losing any altitude.
Watch your VS, going already.
The VS, vertical speed indicator, tells the pilot if he's losing height, and it's showing that the plane is dropping.
Hold it, there it goes again. It's gone, 500 foot a minute.
Paul is finding it difficult to keep the altitude steady in this heavier, less manoeuvrable plane.
You need to trim, and a ball.
Yeah.
VS.
Dale's not happy with Paul's lack of control of the air van, so he wants him to do the procedure again.
One more, and I don't want to see you lose anything more than 100 foot.
Coming up, it's D-Day for the rookies and Eman as they are called in to face the wilderness bosses for the last time.
Definitely above average in intellectual capacity, and you do get upset when criticised.
Justin.
And Chief Pilot Dale makes Paul execute a pinpoint landing with no power and no help.
It's all up to you. You have to make the field.
"9 a.m. in Maun. For the rookie pilots hoping to land a job with Wilderness Air, the final day of the grueling 6-stage recruitment process has arrived.
Okay, Christy, what we are going to do now is just a psychomotor test. I will explain to you exactly what to do.
We want to stress them out as much as possible under certain situations and then see how they react with that and at what point they snap or they slow down.
Looks like we've got complete engine failure.
For bush pilots, fast reactions could save the lives of the pilot and passengers.
Flippin', that was close.
The psychomotor test may be in less lofty surroundings.
Okay, Christy, whenever you're ready.
But it's designed to gauge the rookie's reflexes under extreme pressure.
You can't really practice for these unless you're really good at computer games or video games. None of us are colourblind, you know, we're all at the same stage now flying, so I think we've all probably got the same chance.
The test starts gently, but quickly builds in speed and intensity.
There were, they had ones with colours and, you know, you had to use your feet plus colours plus oral sounds, and then they changed the colours around, so you put blue for green and green for blue, and they get a lot faster and faster.
This one's difficult.
The last test may be over, but with a third of the rookies facing the cut, it's an agonising wait to see who's got the job.
Having got so close, I think I would be pretty disappointed if I wasn't successful now. So, fingers crossed.
With more than 20 planes and operations in 5 African countries, Wilderness Air is one of the biggest companies in Maun. Air Shikawi, on the other hand, is the smallest, with just one full-time pilot, Eman. The whole company works out of an office that could fit into the Wilderness boardroom.
Everyone plays their own little role, and I'm not just another number in a company, you know, I'm a vital piece of Air Shikawi, I suppose.
Every day is a struggle to keep the business afloat, and every hand in the company is needed to do it. Owners Darren and George don't just run the company, they do the books, fly the planes, and will try their hand at almost anything to drum up business.
If the charter companies were to be compared to as David and Goliath, we'd probably be David's son if he were to have a son.
But some things are more important than money, and sometimes it takes the smallest company to see the bigger picture. Today, George and Foxtrot Uniform Oscar, fondly dubbed Fiona, have a special guest hitching a ride with them.
I'm on my way to meet George from Air Shikawi, and we're about to fly from Maun to Shikawi to have a look for croc nests. I've never met George, so it's the first time for me.
Vince Shax is one of hundreds of researchers working in the Okavango Delta, an area renowned for its wildlife. But Vince has no interest in the cute and cuddly. He's a modern-day Crocodile Dundee.
The Okavango Panhandle, unlike most of the Delta, is not actually protected. And unfortunately for the crocodiles, this makes up 90% of their breeding area and nesting area. The project's responsibility is to carry out various monitoring practices during the year. And obviously we do most of our monitoring is a lot of groundwork, a lot of field work. But wherever possible, if we can get into an airplane and get an aerial view and carry out some form of aerial survey, that has, you know, huge benefits for us because it cuts out the amount of time we need to spend on the ground, because obviously from the air you're seeing a lot more. We're looking for females.
Yeah.
So they'll be off the channel, they'll be on these sites. It's going to be an open patch of sand, very soft sandy soil.
Okay.
Normally you'll have lataka all around it, reeds around it and some palm trees, but the sure sign is an open piece of sand with a female on it, or nearby.
Okay.
Even nearby is fine for us. We punch that in, we take it as a potential site, and we go back later by boat and have a look.
With little money, Vince's project relies on hitching a free ride on commercial flights. George will be flying these locals to the remote village, and on the way back, Vince will get the chance to do his work.
I'm not really convinced at the moment of seeing the crocodiles on the nests, because how do you spot a crocodile nest from the sky? It's the eggs are underneath the ground, so the crocodiles has to be really on like an open patch of sand or something like that to see them clearly.
George is flying to Chikawe, the small town that his company is named after, 150 miles northwest of Maun. In fact, by helping Vince, George is also helping charter companies like his own.
Wildlife is very important at the moment for Botswana, especially for the tourists, the tourism industry and the Okavango Delta. It is huge. It's humongously big, because all these people from all over the world, they're basically coming to see what is there in Africa. If there was no wildlife left in Botswana, there would be absolutely no passengers. So our business would drastically decline should the animals disappear.
All George needs to do to help the conservation of this reptile is find crocodile nests from 500 feet above the ground. Back in Maun, George's only pilot employee could be about to be snapped up by the competition. Iman has made a last-minute entry into the wilderness selection process.
I kind of just snuck in there, undercut everybody. If there is the opportunity to move up in your career, you might as well bloody take it, because aviation is hard enough as it is.
At just 23, Iman has already built 1,200 flying hours in Botswana. Because of this vast experience, Wilderness have allowed her to skip to the last stage of testing, but Iman's far from impressed at having to push buttons to show she's a good pilot.
This morning we're doing some sort of psychomotive test. It's pretty much just a hand-eye coordination sort of thing, because obviously I cannot land an aircraft and I need to be tested.
With only one type of plane to fly, the Cessna 207, Iman's career can't climb any further at the tiniest company in town. Wilderness Air's huge fleet of aircraft offers many more options.
I feel adrenaline in my fingers. They just want to push all the buttons all at once. Ready, go.
But skilled as she is, Iman couldn't be further from her comfort zone.
I want to give up.
This opportunity with Wilderness Air would be a step up in an already established career.
I'm already bored.
But for the rookies, it's the first foot in the door of commercial aviation. And the devastating news that their competition as a professional bush pilot has just filtered through.
If they are taking experienced guys, they might go straight onto the caravan and they might not necessarily be competing for the same jobs as we are.
That's still a job that technically one of us could have had that she will now, be suited for. So I think she would be, seems to be a good candidate. They wouldn't have to retrain her. She can go straight onto it. So I think that she's got a lot going for her in terms of the job with Wilderness.
Coming up.
Here's one. There we go.
George is bowled over by his crocodile spotting trip.
No, that was stunning, honestly. That was really amazing.
And rookie Christy confronts a man about her last-minute dash for the Wilderness prize.
Do they hate me now? I badged in on their parade.